Success is demanding, so demand something back. Hello and welcome to Give Yourself a Raise with your weekly host, business revivalist, certified life and mind coach, Corey Lamount. Get ready to receive inspiration, motivation, and determination to be, do, and have the very best in life. Please share this podcast and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Corey Lamount NY. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Corey Lamount NY. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Give Yourself a Raise. I am Corey Lamont, and it is my pleasure, really it is my honor to have you with me on this amazing podcast. Well, today we're going to talk about stress in relationships and whatever relationship you may be in and how to deal with that, especially when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Because you will have stress not just in your business relationship that can affect other relationships in your life, but you will also have stress in other relationships that can affect your entrepreneurial relationships as well. So let's deal with stress. Let's talk about how we can deal with the stress so that it doesn't destroy either of our relationships, whether it is that business relationship, whether it is the marriage, whether it is the love affair that you have going on. So let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. Let's see if we can help you. Again, if you like us, share us, link up with us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Of course, I'm there. You'll find me at Corey Lamount NY. Let's get into it, guys. Stress in relationships. One of the characteristics of humans is the ability to survive very difficult challenges and to still come out on top. Generally, we like to believe that, life is meant to be enjoyed and, that there really should be nothing that should stop us from really enjoying the good of life. However, because life isn't perfect, it will result in its imperfections sometimes in ambivalent forms, having both, negative and positives aspect. But because of our survival instincts, we survive no matter what, face life shows us, no matter what we have to experience. And when it is good, it is really good, and we embrace it, and we live in the moment of the goodness. However, there are times when life circumstances, experiences, will rear its ugly head, and then we find ourselves having to work through to come out on top. I'm going to share with you from not just my life's experiences, but also from the book, one of the books that my mentor wrote. He liked to counsel people before they got married in relationships. But I think that what he would counsel was so important and so pertinent to not just a marriage relationships, but also in business relationships and other relationships in your life. So I'm going to look at his book and use some of the things that he said to really kind of guide us through where we're going to go today. Okay? And so his chapter says, you must be right before you unite. All right? Be right before you unite. So we're going to deal with stress. Coming out on top in life, most of the time, our ability is pretty good. There's a particular kind of negative aspect of life that we all struggle with, and this is known as stress. For some people, they have over the years developed this, magic wand to survive, to survive it. And in areas of their life where they are stressed, they know how to cope and they know how to deal even post the stress. However, there are some people, on the other hand, who continue to see themselves clutching at straws, dealing with things that, and responding to stress in ways to make them feel like they're in quicksand over the things that they have gotten themselves into or their lives into. For many people, they could cope with any form of stress as long as it doesn't present itself in their relationships. The moment that stress presents itself in their relationships, they begin to sense as if that this relationship, whatever it is looming, that is coming to a close. And the reason simply could be because they can cope with things or they can cope with stress as long as it is just them alone. But the moment when they feel that it is evident that it will affect their relationship with others, they seem to think sooner or later it will become unbearable. And for as many people who have found themselves in this kind of situation, this is exactly what this podcast would really be about today. Okay? Surviving stress in your relationship, all right? It won't ruin it if you don't ruin it. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So I want you to just be relaxed. Take a deep breath, and we'll give you some practical instructions on what things you can do to survive the different stress wherever it appears in any relationship of your life, whether it is a marriage, whether it is a love life, whether it is a business relationship or entrepreneurial one, okay? My mentor would say, you must be right with yourself before you can be right with someone else. And this is so very true, especially when it comes to relationship, even entrepreneurial relationships. Looking for someone else to make you happy will never make you happy. You will never find happiness alone just in someone else. You must first be happy with yourself first. And the reason being is because people don't have all of your answers for you. All the answers you need are really within. But if you're not happy with yourself, you will never find the answers that you need for yourself and for your life. So people itself should not make you happy. And you should not look to unite with people simply because you think that they are the answer for you. The answer is really within you. And that is in marriage, that is in premarital relationships, that is in entrepreneurial relationships. Sometimes I think we get caught up in the euphoria, the hype, the great feeling of being with someone, sometimes of like-mindedness or of some kind of shared, experience or whatever idea, but we don't really count up the costs. And being with someone just because they make you happy. But if you don't make you happy, that being with someone would eventually show itself in a very stressful and a very negative way in that entrepreneurial and the business relationship. You must first, and even in marriage or any relationship, you must first be happy with you. No one else makes you happy, okay? My mentor would say, you have to get your own house in order before you can set up house with someone else, And that is very true. I find, though, that there are 3 ways that you should have your house in order. That is 1, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. You must be right with yourself emotionally, financially, and spiritually before you should consider being in a business relationship or getting into a marriage or even, a premarital love affair with someone else. Make sure that your house is right first and you're set up correctly both financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Let us take a look at a scenario and let's see what I'm talking about. 2 people of opposing sex meet, they like each other, they become friends, could be same sex, it's completely whatever your choice is. They fall in love and they feel like they can take their relationship to another level, or they love each other's ideas and they feel like, hey, why don't we start a business relationship? Why don't we start some kind of corporation together? And so this relationship is formed. They're not married, but they have an relationship at this point. Sooner or later, no matter how good their relationship is or their relationship is at the moment, the differences between them will become noticeable to both of them. This factor, and many others will begin to add up and, it will come under the headword of stress. And usually when something like this occurs, when this does come about, it becomes more difficult when both of them sees the relationship as stressful, as opposed to one of them seeing the relationship as stressful. Because if both of them begin to see the relationship as stressful, sooner or later they'll see themselves as each other's number 1 enemy. And this can be in a business relationship, this can be in a marriage, this can also be in a premarital love affair. It happens. Stress happens. It comes about. So let's look at some of the areas where stress is inevitable and you can be able to cope with it regardless of any relationship that you find yourself in. The first way, I would say, is finances. Financial stress in relationships. Yes, it happens in marriages, it happens in love affairs, it also happens in business as well. Financial stress. Sometimes the financial stress of the marriage can affect the business aspect. It can also affect the performance of the business. When you're so worried about home that you're not focused on the business and what it needs to do, stress is rearing its head. And sometimes the stress of that can create the stress of your other relationship, or vice versa. The stress at the business the finances there. Maybe the customers aren't coming in. Maybe business is slow. Maybe, your partner is moves slow, doesn't really move as fast as they talk. That happens. They can talk one speed and then work at another. You're like, wait a second here, I need help now. That can happen, and it can affect the sales, the bottom line, the profits of the business. And sooner or later, if you're married or in a love affair, it can affect that relationship as well. Because now sometimes you may have to take from your house or from your personal things that you may want to do and sacrifice it for your business. So you saw something you really wanted, but maybe, your business need a bill paid. It happens. So let's talk about it. I believe that financial stress only happens because we don't take the financial obligation to any of our relationships very seriously. This is one of the most important areas that I think people should explore, and they should really delve into further before they begin any relationship. Most either because of the bliss or because of the fact that they're in a new relationship or in a relationship, never really consider this option as something worthy of their consideration. The feeling is that this should be postponed until marriage, or until, we really solidify, this relationship, this business or love affair. However, so many times people want to get married and they want to be in a relationship, but they have not talked about the finances. But the truth is that both have different financial orientations. One believes maybe in saving while the other does not. One believes in investment while the other may not. They both have different spending habits, and etc. That's in any relationship, regardless of what form of relationship you have. But of course, we must understand that both of them, or both of those in a relationship, both of you share the burden and bear the burden of the finances in that relationship, whatever it is, right? So even if your habits are different, you really need to talk first about it before you divulge or before you delve in or dive in. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Because if not, sooner or later, stress will come. And when it does come, the body will not be able to bear it longer. And no matter how the individual tries, the evidence of the stress will become noticeable. So there are different things that you can do so that the adverse effects of financial stress in your relationship does not lead to the relationship coming to an abrupt end in the long run. So you can actually work on it and work in it while you're doing it. My mentor would say, romance without finance is no good. You must have finance if you go get some romance. And it's the same in business relationship. If you want to stay happy with that business and that business partner, understanding finances and dealing with them is very, very, very important. In the scriptures, there is a scripture that says, Ecclesiastes 10:19, that says, money answers all things. Not some things, not most things, not anything, but money answers all things. I believe that a lot of people are missing out on their dreams and on what they are to be, to do, and to have because of either a lack of money or their mindset about money. Money answers all things. Don't worry though, we can help, all right? We can help. So get right with yourself. Be right with yourself, do right with yourself financially before you decide to delve into a relationship in whatever form with someone else. Make sure that you are right. And there's several things you can do. One, discuss everything with your partner, okay? Discuss it all about finances. What are your expectations? What are you looking for? You both will do, or what can you both do? 2, plan a budget with your partner. Or your husband or your spouse or your business partner or your lover. 3, be ready to let go of some of your stance. Sometimes, You've got to see it through the other person's lenses. All right. 4, seek financial advice. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not talking about for somebody that may be just as broke as you. I'm talking about going to somebody who has